You talk about the one you're focused on. So focus on God until you have to talk about Him with others. Today on Growing Hope, we share ways to talk about God to enhance the relationship with God.
It's time for Growing Hope, the show determined to grow up hearts open to pursue the extraordinary. Because you are extraordinary! And now, live from a little cabin in the woods, nestled along Big Spring Creek, it's your host, Kathryn Lang.
Hello there and welcome to Growing Hope, where we invest a few minutes to have fun, make friends, and find ways to be relentlessly helpful. I am Kathryn Lang, your resident Hope Smith and Dream Igniter. It infuses my heart when I have the opportunity to encourage you to uncover and live your heart seed. It makes me bolder in my own purpose when I can help you walk out your purpose. I fully believe that you are designed to live in purpose. And when you discover your uniqueness, then you're positioned to live bold in that purpose. The whole point of these weeks together is to begin the process of unlocking the you that you are designed to be. It all comes from the book Place and Purpose. So if at any time you miss an episode, you can watch or listen over at growinghoperadio.com, and you can pick up the book Place and Purpose. Today we're continuing to work through the first question of why. Why are you here for such a time as this? We're closer to understanding what it is that God has set into our lives, what it is that He wants for us. And we started with learning about God, then memorizing the Word, talking to God, talking about God, and sharing with others. When you've noticed that you are excited about something, it's because you've invested in that something and you want to share with others. The more excited you are, the more you want to share. My youngest son is almost as verbose as his mother and his dad. He's gotten a double dose, but he's helping out at a scouting event this weekend, and he gets to wear a costume. And costumes are huge in our house. We love the opportunity to dress up. We've got a costume closet because who doesn't, right? And he's been talking about this event for the last 3 months, almost nonstop. And he's been working on his costume since last year, since they left the last one. As much as I enjoy a good costume opportunity, he's exhausting because he's so excited he keeps talking about it. But that's how we need to be about learning about God, about the encounters that we're having with God, about what God is doing in our lives. We need to be so excited that we have to talk about it. Focus on the positives. Share what God is doing and the blessings in your life. It's easy to go down a rabbit hole of don'ts, but if you're busy doing your do's, then you won't have time to worry about the don'ts in the first place. Avoid pointing fingers when you're sharing about God. Practice what Jesus told Peter and let Jesus worry about John. You focus on you. Share from a place of love and excitement. God is love, so let that love be what pours out when you talk about God. Wait to be asked. Not everyone wants to know, so before you let it go, make sure they want to know. And keep it about God. Share His blessings, His promises, His moments of showing up, and His moments of showing out. Talk about God to continue growing up your relationship with God. Invest in sharing what He's doing so that it enhances your experience and also grows up the opportunity for others to experience as well. It's not about trying to get people to conform with what you're learning. Okay, you want them to conform, you know you do. But believe me, if it worked, I would long ago have conformed my husband to the way I thought he should be. It was during a confrontation with someone else that I saw in my husband that he wasn't where I thought he should be. I knew he could be. I know his heart. I know what he loves and who he loves. And I went to correct him. And God stirred in me, let me worry about John. And it changed my whole walk. Once I knew that I'm not responsible for what other people do, I'm only responsible for me, it opened me up to be able to share in a new way, to share his love, his way, through love, and not through my filter of what I thought it should be. You want to share God, but you want to share God God's way, not your way. When you develop your relationship with God, then you're positioned to live all of your big dreams. And as you're developing this relationship with God, you develop a need to talk about it. I love talking about finding your heart seed. And it's been growing up through my big dreams. And through my big dreams, it's been giving me an opportunity to help you grow up your big dreams. It fuels the possibility pursuits. Sharing my big dreams pursuit and helping you find your big dreams pursuit makes me want to pursue even more. So when you're excited about something, then you want to talk about it. When you are focusing on God and you become excited about what he's doing and what you're learning and about him, get so excited about God that you have to talk about God. First, let's keep the focus on the positives. Focus on talking about the blessings. Talk about the promises. Talk about the do's. I heard once that if you focus on the do's in the Bible, you won't have time to worry about the don'ts. I'll add to that and say when you focus on the do's, then you find more possibilities. My husband once asked me why I was always rainbows and lollipops. It was a little bit annoying to him at the time. It's still annoying to him, but he's getting better. But he was shocked that I never had any doubts. And I said, I have doubts. The key is that I don't let that focus become the driving force. I focus on the possibilities until the doubts are crowded out. Most days. On those days when the doubts are just so overwhelming, they have the loudest voice, I try to keep them locked up inside. When you focus on the negatives, they grow in power and strength. For that matter, when you focus on anything, it grows in power and strength. When you're talking about God, focus on the positive things he has done, the things that he's doing, and the things that he's promised he will do in your life. And when you do that, you give the positives the strength and power. The second thing to do is to avoid pointing fingers. It's not about what you think they need to be doing. It is just about sharing God. Sharing God is about spotlighting the possibilities. It's not about what they're doing wrong, but about what God is doing right. My husband and I were talking about a situation we were watching unfold in a group. And we had been very active in this group, and he turned to me and he said, "You really need to say something." You notice it was me that needed to say something. Well, it's not my place, I told him. And it wasn't my place. Nobody had come to me and asked me. It annoys him that I used to be able to argue with a street sign, and now I don't confront anyone, which is not true. I've just tried to explain that my focus is not on the people, but on listening to God and letting God handle it. I took it very, very personally when I read the scripture where Jesus told Peter, "Let me worry about John, you worry about Peter." I heard that in the depths of my soul. It was just, my focus needs to be on my change. And when it comes to you, my focus needs to be on encouragement. I can't force you to change, no matter how much I know it's supposed to be that way. So I have to focus on me and my change and just encourage you in your journey. The third thing to do is to share from a place of love. Share God's love and share your love of others through God's love. That's always got to be the filter. When love is the funnel of what you're sharing, the focus is on encouragement and possibilities. Now, there are times when we want others to do what we believe is best. And maybe that best really is best. But the thing is, my best and your best may not be the same. And who's to say that my best is right for you? It's not my place. When sharing about God, focus on the personal relationship with God and let that relationship help define the best for the life. The focus has to be on sharing God's hope and promises. It's to engulf you in his love. My friend was getting married again, and she was already expressing how if the marriage didn't work, then she could get a divorce. I could have told her all about the right way to enter into a marriage, my right way. I could have pointed out how my husband and I have made it work, how we have made it work. I could have told her a lot of things. I simply loved her where she was. It was not my place. I had to trust God to reveal where she needed to go. And I had to allow myself to be a conduit to reveal that just by loving her with the love of God. I've experienced firsthand how a focus on the love of God will make every difference in the situation. And especially in the situations that I've created for myself. Share the love and let the love make the difference. The fourth thing to do is wait to be asked before you pour it out. Otherwise, you cause a mess instead of providing a bless. The hardest part of my journey has been learning to keep my mouth shut. I like words, and when I'm excited about something, I like words even more. I guess that's where my son gets it. I heard someone tell a story about growing closer to God, and each day she learned more, and God was showing her more about her journey and what was to come, and she told everybody that would listen. And she chased down some of those people who didn't want to listen. And then the experiences with God began to dry up, and soon they were just gone altogether. And finally she cried out to God, "Why aren't you talking to me?" And God touched her heart. And he said, "Shut up. You just can't shut up. Sometimes I'm sharing with you, not for you to tell the world, but to touch your heart." So if they don't ask, just don't tell. The time will come. And when they ask, they will be open to hear. When they don't ask, they don't have the ears to hear. Finally, keep the sharing about God and not about what the other person is or isn't doing. Not about what the pastor is or isn't doing. Not about what the youth leader is or isn't doing. Not about what the leaders are or are not doing. If you keep the focus on God, his blessings, his promises, his show up and show out moments in your life and throughout Scripture, that will make the difference. We had a women's Bible study every week, and things could get very interesting when the husbands were brought into the conversation, especially when we didn't think the husbands were acting the way we thought they should. On more than one occasion, it just completely derailed the conversation from a Bible study to a husband bashing session. So one day I handed out cards to the ladies, and all they had on them was a giant I. Anytime the conversation began going down the path of complaining, someone would hold up an I card to remind us to keep the conversation focused on God. When we keep the sharing about God, then we create a foundation of God. When things are going the way we think they should be going, we want to tell everyone. When we're excited about something, we want to shout it from the rooftop. When we think others aren't doing what they should be doing, we want to get the others to agree about how right we are. Okay, maybe we want the person that is in the wrong to get back on the right track, and we want it for all the right reasons, but we really do want other people to enforce and reinforce our superior righteousness, or at least our rightness. So when you're talking about God and sharing what God is doing, God has to be the driving force. The focus has to be on God and for God in order for that sharing to make the connection with God. The right focus makes all the difference in the world. And it also makes all the difference for our journey through the world. We need to be focused on God if we're going to live out His design. It's no more complicated than that, but man, oh man, do we invest a lot of resources making it complicated. It's simple. The more we focus on God, the more we will want to share what He's doing and what we're learning from the investment in knowing Him more. We talk about the things that have our attention. And what better place to put our attention than on God? My husband created a Bible study that's leading him through the Bible in a year. Now, he randomly brings up stories about the Bible, usually about the stories that people rarely talk about, or they're elements in stories he's heard about, but he's never heard these elements, and he's excited about what he's learning, so he's sharing it. He's getting to know the stories, and he wants to share his experience in these stories. We need to talk about God, the amazing things that we are learning, and the incredible things that He is doing. We want to keep the focus on the positive, and we don't want to worry about John. We want to share from a place of love, and we want to wait to be asked, and always we want to keep it about God. There was this guy in Scripture that loved talking about God, and he loved sharing what God was revealing to him. When he had a dream, he would rush to tell his brothers all about it. But they weren't nearly as excited about his dreams as he was, and they didn't ask to be told about his dreams. Before long, his brothers resented him so much, they wanted to kill him, literally. But instead, they just sold him into slavery. Joseph had a relationship with God, and he was excited to share his revelations from God. But just because you know doesn't mean you have to tell. Sometimes the revelation is for your heart, not theirs. Sharing God and talking about God has to start with God. Get to know God, and you will want to share Him with the world. The more you know God, the more you will want to share God. And the more that you share, the more you will know about what you're sharing. So thank you so much for joining me for Growing Hope as we're journeying through the book Place and Purpose, where we're finding our unique heart seed and nurturing it to grow up into our possibilities. You are designed for such a time as this. And when you uncover and grow up your heart seed, you will never work another day in your life. How does that sound? If you're ready to start this journey, visit harnessyourwhy.com and be sure to connect over at Growing Hope Radio on the Facebook group. The more we connect and engage, the bolder we become in living out our uniquenesses. I look forward to hearing all about your journey. And from your sharing, I find encouragement to continue to move forward in my unique design. We are so much stronger together, so let's get connected and determined to create our world domination. We've got this. It's simple as long as we keep the focus where it needs to be. It is easy because we're not doing it alone. Not only do we have each other to encourage and support on this journey, but we have someone else that has already created the victory for us. When you think about that the victory is won, it really does not only make it simple, it makes the burden easy and light. I am Kathryn Lang, and I am here to tell you that hope makes a difference because every day holds a promise of more, and every action contains the power of possibility. It is not about what the world says or even what the world shows. The strength of hope and encouragement will and does push through the limits and the walls of the world. My prayer is, and always will be, that the words I share are helping establish foundations of hope that will shatter the delusions of the world around us. Until next time, remember, in all that you're doing, be blessed and be a blessing.
Thank you for joining us for Growing Hope with Kathryn Lang, where we are sharing hope, encouragement, and inspiration to do more.
Visit www.kathrynlang.com to invite Kathryn to be part of your event or to share your own stories of possibility living.
Until next time, remember that a seed of hope planted and nurtured will grow up into a world of possibilities.